Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. It's Sunday night. We are back in the swing of things as well. So what has Bitcoin done over the weekend? Not much. It's kind of traded sideways a little bit. It's down maybe a little bit from where it was on Friday, but not much. We'll take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. Quickly look at the Bitcoin miners on Friday. We didn't do a live stream then because it's Friday. Everybody's out celebrating. But we'll look at that. We'll take a look at also the miners. Can they still do a 5x here from where they are? They've recently had a pretty nice rally here, even though Bitcoin has been coming down the last 2 weeks, but they've been doing pretty good. So we'll take a look at that. And then we'll take a look at the performance of Bitcoin versus the Bitcoin miners last week. And we'll call it a day and get into your guys' Q&A side of things. So greatly appreciate you guys coming in here. But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice. We're doing only. Please do your own research. And there's my full disclosure for you guys as well. And hit the like button if you enjoy the separate content. Helps me out tremendously. Subscribe as always. That's the deal. Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick, what's going on with it. And I drew some lines here. I think I did this on Friday. I posted this to the Patreon members here on Discord. Yeah, that's where I did it, on Discord. Kind of what I was seeing here with Bitcoin, at least in the short term right now. Right, so Bitcoin right now is at 63,245. We finished out Friday at approximately 64,120, right? So we're not too far down from where we were, about 1,000 or so. So we're kind of trading sideways down a little bit, like I said. But if you look at this line, this orange line down here, right, this is going to our previous bottom here within the last, I guess you could say, since beginning of May here, right? And if you look at that point and you look at the RSI at that point was right around like 32, 30, something like that. And then if you look at the RSI right now, we're at the same spot as it is, like right around 32, 33, somewhere like that. So that to me is a good sign. This might be where we're getting close to the bottom here. We could come down still and wick down to like the 61,000 or yeah, like 61,000, which is our next line of support potentially, because we did break below it today, or below our support here, previous support, which is at 63,000. So that's going to act as our resistance going forward, and our next support is at 61,000. And then if we look at the RSI here, the last time we were at this level was basically back here. This was back in January of this year, the 22nd, right? And you can see we came down to this level on the RSI, and then we bounced off of it going forward. That's why I'm thinking maybe, perhaps, and this will be the same thing that happens here. We still, like I said, we could possibly come back down here, test the 61,000 before we go back up, but that's pretty close. The good sign is we would have a higher low on the time frame here at least. That's kind of what I'm looking at things right now, okay? Now, as far as the miners on Friday, you guys obviously saw what happened there. It wasn't a great day for us. Bitcoin was down on Friday, approximately, what was it down? It wasn't down too bad. It was down 1.1% on the day. But the miners just sold off like crazy here. A lot of the miners were down double digits here. You had Argo being down almost 15.6%, almost 15.7%. You got Cypher being down almost 13%. You got Cleanspark almost down 10% on the day, right? And then who else was down double digit here? Mawson was close to that, 9.64%. And you had Wolf down 10.2%. And a lot of the miners were just down, a couple single digits percentage-wise. Bitfarms was down 5.77. Let's see here. Riot was down 8.35 as well. The only two that were up was Stronghold and Annie at that point, which was kind of surprising that Annie was up and Stronghold was up as well on those days. But that's kind of what we had here. So let's get into the stuff that we want to really talk about, the meat and potatoes of it all, which I'm sure you guys are interested to hear my thoughts on. Can the miners still do a 5x from here, right? Given that the recent rally that they had in the miners. And if we look at the miners here really quick here, just on the weekly, let's do it on the daily, right? So a lot of the miners had a really good run here recently. Any has not. Argo didn't have it either but you can see Digital here had a nice rally here in the last couple of days. Let's do a weekly. I think it might be better. You can see here, the last couple of weeks, it's definitely been doing pretty good here. BitDeer, I mean, look at that nice rally there as well. Bitfarms, same thing, nice rally here in the last couple of weeks. Cypher, same thing here. Cleanspark, a little bit. I mean, Cleanspark was trading kind of sideways here for a while now. CORZ, I mean, huge rally here in the last couple of weeks. Digihost flat, DMG flat, more or less. Hive has been coming up slowly here. Hot 8, nice little small rally here. IREN is going to have a huge rally here. Look at IREN here doing wonders. Marathon trading sideways, kind of like Cleanspark is. Mawson flat. Riot is actually, let me zoom in on that one. Riot looks like it's kind of trading sideways as well. Stronghold, a little bit of a rally here. And then Wolf, take a look at Wolf as well. Wolf had a huge rally here. So we've had a nice rally in the miners here recently. And I think the last time I did this video was probably about a month and a half to 2 months ago, where we looked at, could the miners still 5x from where they are if Bitcoin goes up 2x here? So let's take a look at that chart there. So here's everything we're looking at. We're looking at the current number of shares outstanding for the miners. So if Bitcoin goes 2x, where will the miners go potentially here? I think a lot of them still can do 5x, maybe even better. But these are very conservative numbers here on where things might go. So Bitcoin goes basically to 220,000 from where it's at right now. 120,000, sorry. 120,000 to like 150,000 maybe. This is kind of what I'm looking at. And this is very subjective. I put in what I think the multiples could possibly be in here as well. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. So we got shares outstanding, stock price of the current miners right now, market cap based on the stock price and the number of shares out. Then I'm using a subjective form here as far as where do I think the X multiple could be. So the low X multiple I'm using is a 3, right? So if we use a 0.5 for like BitDigital, they might get like a 1.5X from here on the low end. On the high end, we're using a 5, so that would give them a 2.5X multiple on the high end, okay? And then we're calculating what the market cap could be on the low end, on the high end. And then I'm looking at some other things here like the future hash rate, current HODL, what they have, market cap per petahash with future hash rate. And then we were looking at if we take out the HODL position as well. And I have some comments on each one that I kind of put in there, okay? So we'll go through each one here really quick. So BitDigital, I think could get somewhere between $3.96 to $6.60. I give them a 0.5 multiple. And that is mainly because small growth. AI business, we know, is 70% profit margins. But I'm sure you guys have noticed it, they're not really being valued because of their AI play or their self-mining, which their self-mining is at what is it at right now? 2.7, 2.8 exahash right now. They're supposed to get to 6, but we don't have any news on that. Maybe that could help them out a little bit going forward, potentially. I'm not 100% certain there, but it's kind of what I'm looking at. So it looks like they could possibly do like a 2.5x conservatively, right? That doesn't mean that's going to happen. It means that's just kind of where I'm seeing things potentially for these guys. They could definitely outperform here if they get the hash rate growth, and maybe if they start to also switch from being more of an asset light, which they are right now, is 100% asset light, meaning that they don't have any infrastructure. And if they start buying maybe infrastructure to do their own mining and things like that, maybe that would help out as well, right? So there's a lot of things that we could have changes in going forward for all of these guys. Okay, next here is Bitdeer. Bitdeer I got in between 1997 and 33.29. I'm using a 0.7 multiple on that, and the 3 and the 5, and that would get us to market cap here about 3.9 billion here from where they are right now. Future hash rate is supposed to be about 11 exahash. I say sketchy financials because things have been changing from quarter to quarter on them and the way that they report it. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to really track them, how they're doing by their business segments and things like that. A lot of their planned growth is also not until 2025, but they are designing their own ASIC chips, right? They have a really good roadmap ahead of them for that. So that might actually benefit them going forward. But like I said, a lot of it is done until 2025. So they could possibly still do on average about 3.5x on the higher end, at least on that one. So that's still pretty good for them. Bitfarms here. Bitfarms, I give them a 1.15 multiple, mainly because I still think that they are way undervalued from where they really should be. So I give them a little bit of a boost here on that because I think they can do possibly a little bit better going forward. So I have them between $10.14 to $16.91. That will give them about a 7 billion market cap based on that if they can get to 21 exahash here growth. And then we know that they're going to be planning on building out more in 2025, getting to 35 exahash potentially. They haven't purchased anything for that. They just have purchased or signed a lease agreement or purchase agreement with a company. I think it's in Pennsylvania. Correct me if I'm wrong there just recently. That would get them to potentially 35 exahash with that. So that gives us about 5.75x growth here if Bitcoin goes 2x. And the reason for that is, like I said, good growth upcoming, healthy financials. The only thing that we have right now that's kind of keeping the stock down is no CEO news. They've been saying that they're close to it. They're also supposed to get to 12 exahash by the end of this month. We'll see if they can do that. And then you also have the boogeyman in the room, which is Riot, trying to do a hostile takeover on Bitfarms as well. But ever since that news has come out, the stock has actually done pretty good. So I don't know, maybe it's a good thing that they're trying to buy them out because it has definitely garnered more interest in the stock maybe. But we'll see. Okay, that's kind of the way I see that. Cypher here. Cypher have them going to 958 to 1596. That would give them a market cap of 4.7 billion. And that's with them getting to about 14 and a half exahash in the future. And then we're looking at good growth upcoming. A lot of their growth is not until 2025 as well. Healthy financials, right? And they could get possibly like a 3.5x. They've had a nice run up here recently, and that's the reason why I have them, I'm rating them at 0.7 multiple on it. And then Cleanspark here, I have them at 0.9 multiple with the price target of 46.68 on the low end to 77.81 on the higher end. It's a little bit higher than what my numbers are. I'm around 70, right? I've been saying that for a long time, probably for about a year and a half or so, if not longer. But that would get them about to 18 billion in market cap, and that's with them getting to 32 exahash. They do have plans to get to possibly like 50 exahash in 2025 sometime. We don't know exactly when. So again, great growth going forward, healthy financials. That gets us to about 4.5 x on them on the high end side of things, right? And the reason for that is they've had a huge run up here. They're one of the best performing stocks here in the last probably 6 months or so, 9 months roughly. And that's the reason why. I think they can still do really well. It's just, I don't know if they can do a 5x from where they are right now. Then you got Core. Core, I'm giving them a multiple of 1. So basically a 3x and a 5x here. So we're looking at 26.91 to 44.85, market cap about 8 billion. And the reason for that is we don't have a lot of numbers for them as far as their self-mining, how far they're going to grow that. This year, they said that they could possibly get to 30 exahash just by changing out some of the older miners that they have, buying new ones, but they need to have, I believe, the warrants get exercised in order for them to pay off some debt, get some cash at that point as well, which at that point I think will dilute the shares, which would get them down to approximately or increase the number of shares to like 400 million shares, which right now I'm at 177 million shares, right? So that's going to have an impact on it. So that one's, I'm not sure if that's, how can I put this? It's the best estimate that I could come up with here for them based on that unknown right now. If they do get exercised, that would possibly drop them down to approximately $13 to about $22 per share, but they would still have the same market cap potentially, right? The great thing with them is they have a huge contract with CoreWeave that would get them to, well, it's a 3.5 billion contract over 12 years. That gives them $290 million in revenue potentially. And that's not going to start happening until sometime in 2025, partially, probably not until like the middle of 2025 sometime. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm seeing them. They still could do a 5x there. Hive, I gave them a 1x multiple here, so a 3x, 5x on that one. I'm in between $9.24 to $15.40, and I think I'm kind of being generous on them. They have been one of the worst performing here over the last 52 weeks. So I'm being very, very generous on that one, and I may actually drop that down a little bit here on them because of it. They do have a good growth, but that would get them to approximately 1.4 billion. Maybe they can do this, but we just need to see more growth for them going forward. They're 5.6. They're pretty close to being fully installed right now. Might have a little bit more room to run here. Our future hash rate, current hash rate, I don't have the current hash rate, but future hash rate, that's kind of where they're going to be at. And they do have some HODL position as well. Current HODL is valued at 166 million there. That's kind of why I'm giving them a little bit of a benefit, I think, on that one. And then some growth ahead, great operations, healthy financials. So I think they might still do like a 5x, and they've been beaten down. I think they're one of the most undervalued potentially, but there's a reason for it. They just don't have a lot of growth going forward. And I think that's the reason why it's keeping the stock down potentially. Okay, next, Hut 8. Hut 8 is still a question mark to me. I have them at 0.5 basically. They're at $12.35 right now. I think maybe between $18.53 to $30.88. That would be like a 2.5x for them. That would give them a market cap of 2.8. And the reason for that mainly is because they have a huge HODL, which is valued at 615 million right now. I wrote in here, I need to see 1 or 2 quarters of financial results from the company. And then just recently, we still haven't had the results for May update for them, which is concerning, which is, I won't lie, that's a little bit concerning for me that they haven't provided that yet. And the numbers, maybe they got something up their sleeve where they will provide some good news, maybe with the bad news for a May update potentially. I don't know, but still, this is ridiculous that's saying them that, well, that they still haven't provided the information. But they'll give them about 2.5x. They've also been one of the ones that have been one of the worst performers here in the last 52 weeks. Then we got IREN. IREN, I have them at 1x multiple. So that would give him a 39.84 to 66.40, somewhere between there. It would give him a market cap of about 9.4 billion at that point. And the reason I have him a little bit lower than Cleanspark is, or because Cleanspark is going to be comparable in hash rate, right? So maybe they can get a little bit more out of it, but it's going to be close. The reason for that is they don't have any HODL, right? I think HODL is also playing a part here a little bit, especially if once the Bitcoin goes up in value, it's going to be valued more. So, but maybe I'm kind of on the fence on this one. I could possibly go like to 1.1, 1.2 on them even to get them up a little bit higher here in market cap. Let's do that. I think let's go with 1.2 on them. I was struggling with this one a little bit earlier when I was going through the numbers. I was trying to think of all the things. And now that I'm talking about it and seeing things, I think they might be able to fetch a little bit more here. So that would possibly get them to still like maybe a 6x on the higher end, potentially, somewhere around there. Then when we look at Riot here, Riot have them at 1.1. I think that they are way under, or sorry, Marathon 0.8. They've had a really nice rally here, or at least in the past 6 months or so. They're at 1921. So I'm looking at 46.10 to 76.84 for them. That would get them a market cap of 21 billion. Future hash was going to be 50 exahash, right? They're targeting that even this year still. So great growth upcoming, healthy financials. That would get them about a 4. They could definitely possibly do even better than that, right? Bitcoin starts ripping up much higher. And then if they can improve their operations as well, if they can improve their uptimes there, that will probably help as well. Okay, next is Riot. Right, I give them 1.1, so a little bit of a boost here to 31.52 to 52.53. And that is based on that they are kind of way undervalued right now. They're not, I mean, that's because their operations have been pretty bad here over the last 6 months, or actually over the last 18 months if you want to go all the way back. But that gets them to about 14.2 billion market cap here, with 40 exahash basically purchased for. That's supposed to get installed sometime early 2025, I believe. We're supposed to get to 31 exahash with them by the end of this year, right? So great growth upcoming, healthy financials. The only thing is operations. They need to fix operations at Rockdale and show us a much better uptime in Corsicana facility as well. Okay, so that gives them about a 5.5x potentially if they do those things, right? If they don't do those things and we still have bad operations and things like that, well, they can probably drop that down. But I'm giving them the benefit of doubt that they can fix those things, which I would think they could do that in the next couple of months. Then we got TeraWolf here. TeraWolf has had a really nice run up here. It's valued at 1.3 billion. I give them 0.5 multiple on the 3x and the 5x. So that gets them to $6.24 to $10.40. And that will get them a market cap of about 3.5 billion at that point. So minor growth left this year. Debt has improved, which is a good thing. I think they're supposed to be down to like 50 million left of the debt after Q2, right? They're at 72, I believe, right now at the end of Q1. So if they paid down the debt to 50, I think that's pretty good. So that still gives us about 2.5x multiple on there potentially, right? It's not rocket science here. It's kind of subjective, like I said, based on just what I'm seeing here with the miners and kind of my thoughts on it, where I'm seeing things. I could be wrong on this, right? But this is kind of where I would look at the miners roughly. Give or take, Bitcoin goes to 120,000 or right around 150,000, somewhere around there. I think this is kind of doable for a lot of these guys here, especially on the lower end, right? On the lower end, I think it's definitely doable. On the higher end, we're getting into a little bit more extremes there. But that doesn't mean that the miners can't get above those. When we get, mass FOMO and if Bitcoin goes up much higher than what I'm thinking, not really thinking, but just kind of estimating here, 120 to 150,000, okay? So that is it. And overall, that would get us a market cap for these 12 miners here of 57 billion to 96 billion, somewhere around there. All right, we've been talking about with the BTC mining stock guy on the spaces that we've had before. We're thinking somewhere between 100 billion to 200 billion with these guys, potentially this bull run. And that would kind of get us on the lower end here of the 100 billion, close to that. So we could possibly even go higher on that as well, right? We still have a lot of time before that happens. Miners could change. There's a lot of things that could change in the miners. All we need is one good news event from somebody and those numbers get definitely blown out, right? So keep that in mind and just be patient here with everything that we're going through right now with Bitcoin. That's it for that one. We'll discuss it more when you guys get into the Q&A side of things, but let's get into the weekly here really quick as well. So on this one, we look at the 52 weeks miners, how far they are from their 52-week lows and how far away they are from their 52-week highs, which are the red bars down here. So Cleanspark still, like I said, is one of the best performers here over the last 52 weeks, right? They're up 411% already. IREN up 376%. TeraWolf 367%. Right, Core 243, BitDeer 243, Bitfarms 219%, Marathon 168%. Bitcoin is 157% from its low at last 52 weeks. All of these guys have done better. These guys have done worse here. Cypher, Hut 8, BitDigital, Hive, and Riot. Right, remember when I talked about Hive being one of the worst performers? Actually, it's Riot. Riot's the worst performer here in the last 52 weeks here. And you can see how far away they are from their 52-week highs here. So they're IREN's pretty close to that. TeraWolf, CORZ pretty close, and Bitcoin's pretty close to that. Other than that, you got probably Bitfarms being pretty close there, Cypher, and then you got Cleanspark and everybody else going down that way. So I always like to take a look at that as well. And then we got the weekly performance here of the miners. So Hut 8 actually outperformed everybody here today. It was or last week it was up 9% on the week. TeraWolf 6%, Hive up 5%, and Bitfarms up 2%. IREN was flat. BitDigital was down 1%, along with Marathon. Cleanspark was down 2%, and Bitcoin was down 3% on the week. So all these guys have outperformed Bitcoin a little bit here in Hut 8. I'm just surprised it went up 9%, and maybe that's because there's no news to report for May. Maybe that's kind of quelching some of the fear there in the market for it, but I would think that was actually bringing on more fear, but who knows. Then you got BitDeer, Cypher, Riot, and Core being down in the last week. If you look at the 4 weeks here, things definitely changed at that point. You got TeraWolf and Core doing really good here, right around 90% for both of those. IREN up 70%. Then you got BitDeer up 55%. Hut 8 being up 42%, which is surprising here. They're up that much here. And then let's see, Bitcoin's down 5%. So pretty much everybody has outperformed Bitcoin since 4 weeks ago. If we look at 8 weeks, we can see IREN up huge, 181%. Core up 168%. TeraWolf up 90%. BitDeer 66%. Bitcoin's up only 2% from 8 weeks ago. So everybody has outperformed here, Bitcoin, except for Riot. Riot's actually down 8% from that time frame. And then when we look at the 12 weeks really quick as well, we can see here again, IREN up huge, 189%, Core up 162%, TeraWolf up 134%. Bitcoin at this point is actually down 6%, and Riot again has underperformed from Bitcoin, down 18%. So that's kind of the way things are stacking up. And then when we look at our little heat map here, we can see that we had a nice run here over the last, I would say, probably 5 weeks or so. It'd actually be like 6 weeks, six weeks, yeah. I mean, we had 2 nice green weeks. We had a red week, a green week, and then we had a kind of split week here last week where we were somewhat in the green, somewhat in the red as well. So that's nice to see, and hopefully we'll get more green weeks coming up here as we get into the summertime. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here. So that is it. Kind of nice to take a look at how things have progressed here on the weekly and then where the miners are looking at. But let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things here. And as always, thank you to all the Patreon members. If you would like to have access to all those spreadsheets, the link for the Patreon membership is down in the description of the video. It's $8 a month. You might find a couple spots that are $5 or $4 left. They still get all access to all the spreadsheets. They get access to the Discord server there. And I do sometimes, not always, a lunchtime update really quick if something happens. We'll talk to the people there on Discord and get you guys to jump in there as well, provide you guys thoughts. And it's kind of nice to do that as well. But yeah, that's it. That's my little sales pitch here. Let's get into the Q&A side of things here, and we'll call it a day. We'll get into the week, see what happens tomorrow. But let me move over to my screen here, see what's going on here. Let's see here. Tudor says, IREN the best performer. Yeah, in the last 12 weeks or so, IREN has been the best performer. Let's see. Cleanspark to 100 says, hard for BTC to rally when the DXY is almost 106. Yeah, that does make it a little bit more challenging, doesn't it? Jeffrey says, 180 in the live stream, we need some more likes to support the channel. Yes, if you guys could hit the like button, I would definitely appreciate it. Thank you for Jeffrey for mentioning that. Let's see if we got any other questions popping up here. Let's see. Okay, Jane says here, I'm kind of going back up to see if there's any questions. Don't understand the multiple. So the multiple is my kind of, I wouldn't say my metric. It's my, how can I put this? My bias, I guess you could say, as far as where I'm seeing things with the miners. So if you have a multiple of 1, right? I'm using a 3x and a 5x for the low end and 5x for the high end. So one multiple gets them basically a 3x to a 5x, potentially somewhere in between there. If I use like a 0.5 multiple, then gets the low end from 3 to a 1.5x and the 5x to a 2.5x at that point. Okay, I hope that kind of solves your question there. Okay. See, missed the live stream. Can I get a quick rundown on the answer? Can the miners still have 5x or more? Yeah, I think there's still a lot of miners that can do that. Some are going to maybe do a little bit better than that, but some I think are going to be under that as well. That's just based on my subjective, mind, the way it works and the way I'm looking at things with the miners. But a lot of them I think still will do that. Let's see. Enrique Monkey says, what is up with the market manipulation, all the shorting on Cleanspark and Marathon? Yeah, I mean, they've had a nice run up here, so that's kind of the way the market works, right? You have bulls and you got bears. And the bears are thinking things are going to go down, and that's kind of what's happening there. We've had this before. We'll have it again. It's not something that we haven't seen before. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Is it odd that all public miners have announced growth but Hive, not counting HUT as no transparency? What is holding Hive? What is their strategy? I think they will surprise us? Do you think they will surprise us? Hive. So I'm not sure what's going on there. They've always mentioned that they want to maintain like a 1% of the network hash rate, right? So if the network hash rate is at 600 exahash, they want to be at 6 exahash. If it gets to 800 exahash, they want to be at 8 exahash. That's basically what they've stated in the past. And they've done an actually really good job here over the last 12 months to 18 months, I would say, changing out their old fleet and upgrading it to the newer fleet. They've done a really good job there. Excuse me. But they haven't gone out and they haven't been as ambitious, I guess you could say, or as thirsty as some of the other miners here that have been, looking to grow. Hive has been around for a long time. They've been around since like 2017, 2018 timeframe. So they've been in the business for a long time. But you've seen new entrants from like Cleanspark, IREN, Cypher, TeraWolf, where those guys just came out swinging, right? And they're looking to make a name for themselves, whereas Hive, not so much. And I think that's kind of why the stock hasn't done that well. If they come out saying that, we're going to use some of our HODL, or we're going to use an ATM to grow to 15 exahash, 20 exahash this year, or, within the next year, I think that would be a pop for the stock. But we're just not seeing that. And I don't know what's missing there. I don't know if they don't have the talent there to potentially look for these sites to add into their facilities, potentially. I'm just not sure what's going on there. Let's see here. Hi, Sebastian. Not looking for financial advice, but I was curious, is it a good time to enter Riot? Riot, I think, is being down, right? So if you're looking for a longer term play, I do think it might be a good one. But there's a caveat with it. Riot has to provide us with much better uptime at Rockdale and Corsicana, plus they need to have growth at Corsicana relatively quickly here to get to 31 exahash by the end of the year. So we need to see that in June numbers. I would like to see June numbers for them to be above 10 exahash average operating hash rate. Right? We know that they're installing machines. We know that they're swapping out machines in Rockdale as well. They were operating on average about 8 exahash in May, roughly, and they had about 14 point something exahash installed, but not energized or not ready or not running the full time. Okay, so that's fine. So if they're at 14 at the end of May, roughly, they need to have a much better uptime. So we're looking at, I would say, at least at above 10, if not somewhere around 12 exahash at that point. But we'll see. But they need to do that month after month. If they can do that, maybe then they can do much better going forward. The other thing is them buying Bitfarms has not been a boon to them at all. Even with Bitfarms stock going up, they haven't really benefited from that as well. So I don't know if investors are not liking that play with Riot, potentially. There's something else. So if maybe they come out and say, we're done trying to buy Bitfarms out or something like that, maybe at that point the stock will start to tick off a little bit, but I don't know. Let's see. What are your top picks for highest multiple possibility? I think we still have, to be honest, I think Riot, if they can fix their stuff there. I think Bitfarms definitely. And then who else was the other one there? I think the other one that had pretty good potential there, which was, let me see here, Bitfarms. We had potentially Iris still, I think, with them getting to 32 exahash or 30 exahash by the end of the year. Let me see here. Yeah, and then after that, I would have probably like Cleanspark, maybe Hive even in there, potentially. But that's about it right now as far as I think best growth going forward, potentially. right? Not financial advice as always. Let's see. If Bitfarms gets the lawsuit behind them and hires a new CEO, does that affect price? I think at that point, yeah. If they can get some of this FUD around them done with and gone, I think that will help. Big thing is right now the CEO. As long as they get a great CEO, I think that would definitely help. I mean, you can just see what a great CEO for CORZ has been, right? They got Adam Sullivan there. He's turned the ship on the company. He's done a great job getting out of bankruptcy and everything else. So if you can get a great CEO in there, I think that would be fantastic. Let's see. Would you rather have a large pump, then dump in miners, or a smaller but consistent rise on share price? I would prefer probably smaller rise in the price of Bitcoin and the miners as well. I think that would lead us to maybe getting to higher highs, right? Then we would have like a huge God candle on Bitcoin and everything else. But that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think everybody's looking to make as much money as they can as quickly as possible. But sometimes you have to be a little bit more patient. And I think with patience, you get a little bit better reward for it. That's just the way I look at it. Let's see. If you were to buy now, Hive or CORZ or Bitfarms, well, I've been buying Bitfarms. I bought it 2 weeks ago. I'll probably buy more this week as well. We'll see where the stock goes. But that's kind of my plan there. I've bought CORZ as well. Big question on CORZ is for me. Can they grow beyond the 20 exahash that they're at right now? For this year, they said that they can get to 30 exahash potentially by swapping out older machines with newer machines, but they need cash for that. So if the warrants maybe are exercised at that point, they should get some cash from those, pay off some debt. I think at that point, they might be doing pretty well. So, I mean, it's a toss-up, I guess you could say, between those three. Hive, CORZ, or Bitfarms. Yeah. CORZ with the AI play potentially might do really well. Hive, it has been lagging for a long time. And that's mainly because they don't have a lot of growth. So out of those, I think I would probably go with Bitfarms and CORZ, potentially. Question. I've been researching Riot for a possible investment, and I'm shocked with the stock options awarded to management over the last 2 years. Can you provide your views on it? Oh, gosh, yeah, I've talked about that in the past whenever those things happen. But they have been very, very generous to themselves over the last 2 years. We even talked about it when they reported the Q1 results here recently. I mean, their SG&A, stock-based compensation, was off the charts. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that. I think if you're able to execute on your growth plans and everything else, do the right things, and your stock gets rewarded because of it, and then your shareholders get rewarded, okay, at that point, yeah, I have no problem with you getting rewarded as well. Let's see here. Did you incorporate AI revenue into today's forecast? How much AI revenue is equivalent to exahash growth? I did not include AI because the only one that's really got any AI in there is Digital right now. That has a substantial amount. The other players have like 1 million, something a month, maybe something like that. So it's not as, you could say, not as high as Bitcoin mining is for them. The core won't have their revenue until sometime in 2025, right? So I'm looking at the next possibly year out where we could get to Bitcoin to 120, 150,000, which I think might be before then. So at this point, no, I did not include the AI side of things as well. Let's see, why is the price of BTC falling? Is the price of BTC falling right now? Let's see. It's only down a little bit here. It's down 0.17%, so it's not really falling. But you need Bitcoin to come down a little bit. You need to shake out the market a little bit. You need to have people capitulate a little bit in order for it to go back up. You can't just have a continuation of, going from where we bottomed out at 15,000 to 150,000 in 12 months. You need an up, you need a down. I think it's all healthy for the market, but it's a pain. Let's see. How long do you think BTC will fall? I think we're getting close to being done, maybe. I could be wrong on this, but I think based on what I'm seeing with the charts, I think we're getting close to the bottom where we possibly start going back up. But we'll see. If not, I'm guessing maybe by the end of the summer, once we start getting into fall, potentially. I think that's when maybe things will turn around, if it doesn't turn around now. Let's see. What are Hive's reports that are coming up soon? Is it the quarterly or the annual, and when is it? It's their annual that they should be reporting, I believe. I don't know exactly when it's coming out. I haven't seen that yet. Maybe I missed it, but I haven't seen it yet. But it should be their annual. That's why it's always taking them longer to do the annuals. Let's see. CORZ deal with CoreWeave is 60 to 90 days within exclusive offering to increase to 300 megawatts. Could another company come in and gobble up that 300 megawatts? CoreWeave doesn't initiate offer. Maybe, right? I don't know what's going on there. We don't have a fly on the wall that can listen in on what's going on at corporate, at Core. But if it does happen, I think that would be definitely great. Then they also have to build that out and retrofit those facilities to get to the 300 megawatts for that. So it still work for them. It wouldn't be possibly until sometime in 2025 as well. Let's see. The only reason Hive and BitDigital don't want to grow exorbitantly because they don't want to use ATM. They are focusing on 100 million from AI sooner with less dilution. Market will realize potential. Potentially, right? I mean, that could be the case there. But both companies don't really have to dilute that much. They do have BTC HODLs they could use, right? And BitDigital also has Ethereum that they're staking right now. They could use a portion of that. They could use their HODL position as well. They don't have to dilute. They do have other means to do it. They have cash on hand as well, so you could do it that way. But if you look at it, dilution has been accretive to investors. If you look at IREN, if you look at Cleanspark, if you look at some of the other ones that have diluted over the last 2 years or so, right? Where are they at? They were able to dilute, but also grow their hash rate tremendously, and they're getting rewarded for it right now. Whereas because you have to take a look at what are investors looking for in these miners. Yes, they're looking for efficiencies, uptime, things like that, but they're also looking for growth. And if you're not growing, you're kind of, towards the bottom of the pack, unfortunately. See. Hi, Seb. Thoughts on BitDeer's aggressive growth plans and targets? Are you buying? Not financial advice, thanks. Yeah. So BitDeer, they do have ambitious growth targets for 2025. They're going to be building out a lot of infrastructure in Ohio, Bhutan, I think it's called. I can't remember. I think that's the facility. Bhutan, correct me if I'm wrong there. But it's overseas. There's going to be a lot of megawatts coming online in 2025 and into 2026. They are also building their own ASIC machines, right? They have a great roadmap for that. I think they were, I don't know if they should have reported it or made it public. I think they should have kept it internally. Just came out with machines as they came out, kind of like what Bitmain does as well, right? So for those reasons, the reason that I'm not buying into BitDeer right now is because of mainly their growth this year. And they have a lot of different business segments as well. They have hosting, they have, I can't even remember the names of the different business segments, but it's like 4 different business segments that they have in there. But yeah, we'll see. How do you stay so positive amidst all the negativity? Excuse me. I'm just a natural optimist, I guess you could say, in life in general, right? It's never doom or gloom. It's never the end of the world. You just kind of have to see where things are going into the future potentially, especially with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. You can't be looking at the 1-minute candles or the 50-minute candles. You got to start looking at where's the stuff going in the next 6 to 12 months. And I think that helps there. I've also been in this since 2017. So I've witnessed the rally in 2017 where we got to 19,000. I witnessed the bear market that followed it, which was not great. I witnessed the rally back in 2021, witnessed the bear market. Now I'm witnessing the bull rally again. So I've been through this before, and I've kind of become a little bit numb, I guess you could say, to it as well. And I've learned from those 2 periods that you have to look at the long term with these guys, with the miners, with Bitcoin and everything else. If you look at the short term, you're going to panic sell, you're going to panic buy. You have to kind of plan in advance, buy in the bear markets, sell in the bull markets, rinse and repeat potentially if it happens again. But that's just kind of the way I look at things. Let's see. Eric asks, why BTC dropping? I don't even know why. It could be a number of things. It could be, the Silk Road being sold off. It could be the bears. It could be the options on Bitcoin as well. It could be a lot of things in there. It's had a nice rally up here. We need a little bit of a calming down, a little breather. I think this is good. It's been an extended breather because we did run up quite fast up on that hill. So we need a little bit of time to breathe, get our legs healthy again, and then we're going to run back up. Just joined. Sorry if you already answered it, but if Bitcoin doubles, where do you see Riot stock? Riot stock at that point, I see it, let's see here, like $31 to $52 roughly, give or take, roughly. It could go up much higher depending if they can fix their operational issues, things like that. But that's kind of the way I'm looking at that way. That would give them a market cap of about 14.2 billion at the high end, just for measures there. Let's see. Why is Jeff suing Bitfarms? Don't know. Haven't been able to find the court documents for it, or they might be sealed. Don't know what the allegations there are for wrongful termination. I think that's what he's suing them. Don't know on that one. We'll maybe find out in a couple months, couple years, when they do either settle with that, or he gets thrown out of court, or he wins. One of those two things will happen. Let's see. Need to get your father onto YouTube to do an entertainment only for us on CORZ. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, I don't think my dad would agree to that. He is not big into tech. He's not tech savvy. Let me just put it that way. And then his English is pretty good, but it's broken. So it might be a little tough. Do you see Bitfarms going back to 2.3 this week? I am bullish on July. Bitfarms, geez, depends where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin continues to slide down to like 61,000 potentially this week. If that happens, maybe we might be coming back down on Bitfarms. Bitfarms is 294 right now. 230 would be right around. Actually, I think our support is kind of like right around 280 or so. Next one is around 245. So we'll see if we can keep those first before we worry about going down to 230 that quickly. Let's see. Question. What do you think would happen with the BTC miners if the traditional stock market would decrease 20-30% in the next 2 to 3 months? They're heavily overbought at the moment. Well, at that point, the miners are going down, Bitcoin going down as well. We've seen this before. I think that will just follow suit as well, because at that point, everybody's selling. And remember, Bitcoin miners are a risk-on asset, right? So if those are selling, risk-on assets are definitely going to be selling. If you were to pick a winner and go in hard and could only pick one, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Riot, or Mara right now? Well, first of all, I don't like going hard on one. I think diversification is better because you never know what's going to happen with the miners. There's things that they could do. There's things that governments could do, also depending on countries or states or wherever they're located, that could have an impact on them. And the other thing is you never know when a miner is going to come out with great news saying we're getting to, X terahash. And that could pump the stock. So that's why I don't like being just in one. But based on what you just said here, I would probably rate them the following. Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Riot, Mara, maybe somewhere around there. Something like that. The ones I would be looking to get into in that order. If max pain is higher than the current stock price, does that mean the price will go up? If max pain is higher than the current stock market, does that mean the price will go up? I'm trying to understand the question. If max pain, so max pain in the market, if max pain is higher. So you're also looking like greed and fear and greed index, maybe max pain. I think if there's max pain in the stock and it's no fault of its own, other than it's just beaten down for whatever reason, I think at that point you might have a better bounce on it, potentially, yes. Hey Seb, you ever get frustrated that Cleanspark can't seem to hold a break out lately? Maybe options pinning Friday, but there was some move down. No, and the reason I'm not worried about it right now is because my average price is so low, right? I've been buying it for, 2 years from January of 2022. Yeah, January 2022. So my price target is way, way low. I'm still like 380% up on it, right? So I'm not swayed by any of these moves. I'm still looking at the end goal. Where is that going to possibly be down the next 6 to 12 months to 18 months, something like that? Any kind of moves down right now doesn't really sway me. What are your thoughts on Cypher? Is there anything that is stopping you from investing in them? To be honest, it's more still a Bitfury. I think Bitfury There's a lot of bit company names, but Bitfury just sold a bunch of shares recently. That still has me a little bit freaked out. You never know when they're going to sell on them. I like the growth that they have for this year. It's not great though, right? I like to see a company of their size to get it like to 20 exahash or higher than that. They're targeting, 13, 14 exahash by the end of the year, potentially. And that's with them changing out a lot of the older machines that they have as well. So that, and then a lot of the growth is done until next year from Black Pearl. But that's basically why. Conservative price of Bitfarms and Hive, July and December end of 2024. July, I mean, that's too close to tell what's going to happen there. That will all depend where Bitcoin goes. December, depending also where Bitcoin goes. I mean, Bitcoin goes 100,000. You're looking at maybe 50% increase in that from where it's at right now, roughly. So you're looking maybe at 2x for the miners, maybe somewhere around there, I would guess. That's kind of the way I would look at it. Let's see. Good evening, Sebastian. Good evening to you. I hope you had a great weekend. I did. I hope you did too as well. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. I am looking forward to the months to come. Have you thought about taking profits late in November this year to avoid tax loss harvest season? Thanks. That's a good question. I have not thought about it, but I have heard people say to maybe sell in December because you're going to have a lot of these hedge funds, these institutions and things like that, possibly rebalancing their portfolios at that time, taking profits as well. So we may see a dip in Bitcoin miners as well at that time. We kind of saw that. Did we see that last year a little bit? We did, but I think it was a little bit late. It was towards the end of December, then like the middle of December, something like that. So it's something to definitely think about. At what price would you add more Iris and CORZ? Iris I would add probably more. Let's see, where's it at now? It's like, let's see. Trying to get the scroll thing to come up here. Iris, let's just go here. Iris finished out at 13.28. I think if it got below 10, I would probably pick up more at that point. I think at that point, that might give us a little bit more than a 5x from where it is right now. So that's the way I would look at it. As far as CORZ is concerned, excuse me, CORZ, they're at $8.97. I think anything under maybe like $7, $6.50, something like that, I would probably pick up more at that point. I don't know if we're going to get down there, but that's kind of where I would look to buy more. Let's see here. Hey, Seb, what if everyone's wrong and this cycle has peaked? You're just holding for several years now, several years more. No way to know we're about to see a 70% bear market at any point. Yeah, I mean, there's really no way. The only thing that I'm going by is the past cycles that we've had, where Bitcoin typically, usually, historically, has gone up on a major run up after the halving event, right? I mean, last halving cycle, the peak was 69,000. Is 72,000 going to be the peak for this cycle? I have a very hard time believing that that's going to be the case, right? I don't expect it to go, 1,000% from where it was, but I'm expecting at least some like a 2x to a 3x gains on the previous cycle high. Somewhere around there, I think would be definitely fair. And based on the historical trends that we've seen, I think it's doable. But you could be right. I mean, this could be just a weird cycle altogether, and you might knock our legs out, basically. Let's see. Jane asked, did you have a good weekend? I did. I hope you guys did too. Thanks. Let's see. If Riot acquires Bitfarms, where do you see the price of Riot going? That will depend on how much shares they're using to pay for it, what the price they're paying for it as well, I think. I mean, right now, I think Bitfarms is becoming more and more valued higher, right? So it's becoming a little bit less attractive to potentially buy them out because you're going to be overpaying actually for the machines there, the infrastructure. The only thing that you're going to be really getting out of that is people that know how to operate in other countries other than the United States, right? So you got Argentina, Paraguay, Canada, and the United States in there as well. Riot is all based in Texas. Let's see. James Smith asks, aren't a lot of miners selling, selling what? Bitcoin? If you mean Bitcoin, they have been selling for over the past, a lot of them have been selling for quite a while now in the past year, I would say. Some have been hodling more as we got into the halving event, but I'm expecting more and more to sell potentially. Let's see. D-Shep Boss, D-Shep.Boss says there's a BTC dip happening. Let's see, let's take a look at it. We're down a little bit here. We're down to another 0.57% on it. Let's take a look. So we're down to 62.8, and then we had also here just another comment down below. Mark says 62,000 incoming next 15 minutes. Could very well be. Next 15 minutes, he's saying maybe next 5 minutes as well. BTFD. Okay. Thoughts on Hut 8 delay releasing numbers? Yeah, it's unusual for them to go this long without providing numbers. And the thing that gets me here is, remember when Asher took over the CEO position, one of the big things that they were saying along with Sue here was that they are going to be more and more transparent with investors, provide more information, things like that. And we're actually seeing the opposite here, which is not good, which is not something that you want to see from the management there. So I don't know what's going on there, right? It doesn't take them that long to provide information on what you did in May, right? Usually you should have that information within the first couple of days anyways. You put it into a template. Here's what we mined. Here's what we, here's the differences in the network hash rate, things like that. It's easy. It shouldn't be that hard. I've heard that Sue has stated that they had to go through legal. Like, okay, what does legal have to do with this? There's really legal should be just looking at the numbers. Are the numbers correct? Numbers are correct. Send it, post it. It shouldn't be that difficult. But unless they had to take off a lot of their mining rigs and they're down to like 1 exahash of mining, well, maybe that's the bad news there. Who knows? We'll find out. Let's see here. Tint by Design says fake fear. Also, watch us hit 65,000 by morning. Anything is possible with Bitcoin. You just never know. Mark says shakeout will last until stock market open tomorrow or worse. Have the dry powder ready. Yeah, always have dry powder ready if you can. Let's see here. Jane asks, what days do you stream and time? So the days that I stream is usually on the weekends. I don't know when I'm going to have time on the weekend, so it might be Saturday or Sunday. And I'll try to do it like between 7 and 9 o'clock is when I start the stream in the afternoon. So PM, Central Standard Time. And then during the week, I do Monday through Thursday. Also the same time between 7 and 9 p.m., depending when I get things ready. And then on Fridays, if there's anything that's important that I think you guys should know about, I'll do a stream then. Otherwise, I'm off on Friday. You guys are relaxing, taking time off as well. You guys are enjoying the weekend on Fridays, going out, doing things. So I'm doing the same thing there. If companies like Bitfarms, Cleanspark, IREN, etc. are not able to meet their exahash targets by in a year, do you think they will have a great fall because BTC peak will be early 2025? I don't know if they're going to have a great fall. I mean, you're going to be able to see how they're doing throughout the next 6 months, basically, and we'll see how close they are getting to their goals, right? If they're lagging far behind, I think at that point the miners will start to lag, maybe, but it also depends where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin goes, at a parabolic rise here in the next 6 to 12 months, that might not really matter at that point either. So something to keep in mind. Okay, Pierre says max pain is the price at which the most options expire worthless each week. Okay, so I don't do options, so that's why I didn't know max pain. Max pain, when I thought of that, I was thinking max pain by individuals, seeing their miner go down or stock go down. Kevin said it right here. I don't do options. And I may need to, I got to do some more research into options, get more into it. I know that there's ways to do it really well. I just don't have the time right now. Let's see. Going down here. Let's see. Jane says, got to drop, clap hands. Thank you for the time and insight. Great show. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great night. Okay. Do you think, Jimmy Z asks, do you think Riot will acquire Bitfarms? Honestly, I don't. I think with the poison pill that Bitfarms initiated here, or hasn't initiated yet, but they put in place that in case Bitfarms or Bitfarms Riot buys more than 15%, they can institute that. So I don't think so. I think it's just making it more and more unappealing for Riot to buy them out potentially. And, why would Bitfarms sell anyways with the huge growth that they have going into this year, into next year now also? I mean, they have a lot of stuff in the pipeline, and they're still operating really great without even a CEO there. They have an interim CEO, but they're doing all the right things, it seems like to me. So personally, I don't think so. Excuse me, I could be surprised by that. You just never know. Riot could go in there and buy another, 40 million shares or whatever it is overnight, and there you go. They have, maybe the percentage that they need. Who knows? Let's see here. Danny says, thanks for your hard work. You're very welcome. I appreciate you guys coming in here. Let's see. Seb, what do you think about Argo and possibility for all-time highs this cycle? Argo, geez. Argo, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll be surprised if Argo survives this cycle. I mean, they don't own any infrastructure. They host the machines that they do have with Galaxy Digital. Really no growth there for them. So it's going to be really, really tough. I don't know how they're going to survive unless they get bought out by somebody. But, I mean, why would somebody buy them out? You don't have an infrastructure. All you're doing is buying out older machines. You're better off buying your own newer machines and putting them with a hosting provider. I mean, it's going to be less costly. Kevin says, I predict BTC to stay within 5% of where we are now this time next week. Okay, that wouldn't be too bad if we stay within 5% on the downside or the upside. Either way, I think it'll be fine. Enrique Monkey says, it's 5 a.m. here. I'm so dead. Yeah, get some sleep. I don't know. Are you working third shift then maybe? Let's see. Mark sold most of his Mara at 21.38 and proceeded to fall off the cliff. Excellent. Yeah, nicely done there. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find a question here. Okay. What exact time does Bitcoin daily market close? I've seen CNBC showing Bitcoin down when it's actually up for the day before. Thanks for the show. Yeah, I think you have to look at the UTC. I think it's UTC time. At that point, that's when it closes. So for me, Bitcoin here, let me go over to the chart. At least my time. My time on the daily closes. Let me see here. We got basically 21 hours left before it closes here. So 21 hours. It is 10 o'clock now. I think it closes at 7 o'clock my time. So that's 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, depending where you are. You can probably run those numbers there as well and figure out what time it actually closes. But I believe it's UTC time for Bitcoin when it closes. See, in your spreadsheets, CORZ fair value is between 19 and 28. That's a lot of undervalue even than Bitfarms. Does that look correct? So this is based on the number of shares that are out there right now, 177 million, right? But once the warrants get exercised, there's going to be dilution, but you're going to end up with about 400 million shares. So at that point, you really need to take the 19 divided by 2, more or less, and you get about $9.50 to $19 on the higher end, potentially, somewhere around there. So when they were at close to the $9 or something like that, they were getting pretty close to being fairly valued on the low end side of things, I think. But that's also not taking into account the AI, which will come into play next year in 2025. So we'll get that updated when they start getting revenue from that as well after that time frame, I guess. But yeah, just got to remember that the prices targets that I have is based on the number of shares outstanding. So if CORZ gets more shares, it's going to drop the price down. See. Jane says, smash the like button for Seb. He's worth it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's see. And we're down to the last question, looks like. Which small cap miners would you consider? High risk, high reward. Lots of potential if they overcome challenges and start growing. I would put Hive in there. I would put DMG and Digihost in there as well. Some of the other ones, like you have Sato or Griffin. Griffin. And then you also have, who else was in there? Sato, Griffin. There was another one in there. Soluna. Some of these other guys, I just don't know how they're going to be able to do it, to be honest. They could surprise us, right? I'm keeping an eye on them just to see how they're doing. They could surprise us, but I think out of the smaller miners, I think Hive, Hive, I have them in my big miners because they're getting there, but they're acting like a small miner, really. So out of those, you have Hive, DMG, Digihost potentially as well, I would think. The other ones, Stronghold is looking to get bought out anyways. You got, who else is in there? Argo doesn't own any infrastructure. They host everything with Galaxy Digital. Older machines there. Annie, same thing, Sphere 3D, right? They don't own any infrastructure. They host everything, and their hash rate has actually been coming down here. Older machines as well. I don't know. I don't see a bright future for those guys. He said, why is Bitfarms valued so highly by you if multiple miners are going to be 35 plus exahash next year? That's mainly because they've been beaten down more than other miners compared to where they are. So if you just look at, you can either look at market cap to petahash, or you can use enterprise value to petahash as well. If you look at those figures compared to where other miners are right now, with them, they're way under from where they should be based on that. And they have operations in multiple countries. They have low cost of power, great operations. They got Ben ganging there as well to lead the operation side of things. So there's a lot of good for them going forward. But there's been also a lot of bad news, or a lot of FUD, you could say, with Paraguay, Canadian taxes, CEO thing now, board questions, Riot takeover. So there's a lot of reasons why it's been beaten down as well. See, at which price of Bitcoin Bitfarms will touch $20 USD? I'm thinking at that point you're looking like $150,000 or more. Probably closer to like $180,000 to $200,000 at that point. Let's see. In your spreadsheets, do you have future price predictions based on range of future BTC price? I have done that in the past. Let me see if they're in there still. Let me take a look under the hood here. I do have forward-looking prices on there, and that is based on Bitcoin price going in the future. I probably should update that because I don't think I've updated that in the last couple months, 2 or 3 months. So I need to have that. So stuff is in there, but to really simplify things, I think you just need to really look at if Bitcoin does 2x, usually the miners will do like a 3x on average, more or less. So you're looking at like right around 6x potentially, right on the higher end. So that's why I use 3x or 5x for the miners, just kind of to be on the conservative side of things. But you could get more on it. Let's see. Himanashi, thank you so much for the super sticker. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Ben is the best thing going for Bitfarms. I totally agree. Let's see. Is mining BTC unprofitable at BTC price 62,000 for the miners? No. A lot of the miners have been getting newer generation machines, latest generation machines, things like that, even prior generation a little bit, but they're still profitable at that point. Let's see. To tag on, should we project future HPC revenue as well? You can project it, I think. So, 2 things. Companies that have a short-term contract, that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do because they're going to have a contract for like 2 months, or not 2 months, probably like 3 months to 6 months, maybe even a year, right? You can kind of project how that's going to revenue impact the stock price potentially. But then if you have companies that have a multi-year contract, BitDigital's got a 3-year contract, Core has a 12-year contract, right? You can project that into the revenue going forward, but that's not going to change from month to month. It's going to be pretty much consistent going forward. The only way that's going to change is if the power cost changes for the miners or for whoever's got the AI play there. But if that's a pass through to the host or the company, then that really won't matter. But yeah, so you can kind of count on those things. Whereas with Bitcoin, you're really trying to project where could it possibly go in the next 6, 12 months, right? Where could the miners go at that point? It's a little bit more difficult. Let's see. Why do miners like CORZ not give 2025 exahash targets? Well, a lot of companies don't give 2025 targets. A lot of them will do like this year's targets, right? 2024. There's some companies that have projects that they're building out right now that won't be ready into 2025. That's why they're giving out a little bit of 2025, saying we're going to be buying machines to get to X this year. And then we have options to buy more miners at the same fixed price because they took advantage of those options there potentially. So you're just kind of seeing that. But CORZ just came out of bankruptcy. They're trying to do, they're doing a lot of great things here, but they got to get the warrants to exercise, get cash from that. And at that point, they might have more leeway to go forward, right? But they are providing the growth they're going to be having in AI, CORZs, in 2025 when they do retrofit the facilities there to get the HPC energized, and at that point start making revenue from it. Do you think the presidential debate this week could be a catalyst for Bitcoin and the miners if CNN asks a question or two about Bitcoin? Yeah, I don't know if they're going to ask a question about Bitcoin, but we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be a catalyst, but I think it'll depend on who wins, right? And who's more bullish on Bitcoin going forward. I think either way, I'm starting to see both sides of the aisle get more bullish on Bitcoin, I guess you could say, adopting it more and more. One side is a little bit more, I think, than the other, but they're all going to have to get into it eventually. So I don't know. We'll see. Could be a catalyst. I'm not sure. Any further movement on Riot purchase of Bitfarms shares? What is the probability of a poison pill triggering? I haven't seen anything. I've checked even the SEC website this morning to see if there's anything update from Riot buying more shares. I haven't seen anything. Last we know that they reported was 14%. If they reach 15% at that point, the poison pill gets triggered. I believe that's the case. So we're going to find out maybe this week. I don't think, and here's the thing, this is my own thoughts, that if Riot was going to buy out Bitfarms, they would have gone all gun-ho already about it and then seen if there's a poison pill that gets it triggered at that point. But they haven't gone, when's the last time they reported? A week ago that they got to 14%? So I don't know if they're just kind of pausing right now and see where things go. Maybe they're just talking in the background between each other. Who knows? We'll find out eventually. But I don't think the buyout's going to go through. What's the big catalyst that you like to pay attention to for FOMO? We all know that Trump is pro-crypto now, and I just saw an article today that Biden is expected to do a reverse on his stance. Yeah. What's the big thing for FOMO? FOMO is, when you hear people talking about Bitcoin and maybe even the miners, the miners are even more niche than Bitcoin is. But if you hear people talking about Bitcoin, right, how they're getting into it, how they're buying it, how they made this and that, I think that might be the signal that you're looking for. So people that normally wouldn't talk about it are talking about it. Okay, that might be a little bit of a signal there to maybe start taking some profits there. Let's see, price of Hive in USD at BTC of 150,000. See, that's a good question. That's basically a little bit more than 2x from where we are right now. All things being equal, I think it should be at least 5x from where it's at right now. It's undervalued, but the reason it's undervalued is because we don't have a lot of growth from them. And growth here drives the stock prices of these miners, unfortunately. Fortunately or unfortunately. Nice for us, the ones that have gotten into the good miners, right, over a period of time or just got in the right time. When you see that growth, you're loving it, right? It's a great thing. So I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm thinking like if everything was equal, I would say like 5x from here, but it might be less than that, unfortunately. Let's see, any thoughts on why so many people in this space are trying to pump Riot? Is it justified in your opinion with the Corsicana site, etc.? Yeah, I think it is justified. Right? There's nothing really to get worse for them. It's only upside potential from here going forward if they can fix, like I said, the Corsicana uptime. Not really fix, but just prove that their uptime is going to be much better at Corsicana and fix the uptime at Rockdale as well. If they can do those things, those are all positives going for the stock. Let's see, any updates on Swan? Swan is a private miner. I think the last I saw from them was, I think they're at like 7.3 exahash, somewhere around there, maybe a little higher than that. But that's the last I saw from them. I think Swan itself is still looking to go public, maybe this year, next year, I don't know. Last we saw a tweet from the CEO there, Corey, I think his name is. They're looking to go public this year sometime. Don't know exactly when, maybe next year, sometime as well. We'll see when that happens. But they came out of nowhere. They were in stealth mode. Basically, they started in, I think, mining of last year in like summer, and they got to 7.3, 7 point something exahash within, was like 9 months or something like that, right? Whereas you have companies that have been in here for a long time. For a good example, Hive has been in here in the space since 2017, and they're only at 5 point something exahash right now, right? So you have a newcomer that just came in and blew past them on the hash rate, right? So that's why I'm a little weary with Hive. Let's see. Which miners would you add into currently for the greatest gains? Bitfarms, CORZ. Who else in there? I think still IREN as well, and then followed by Cleanspark. Then you could add in there. Who else? I think Riot maybe as well. I think Riot's been beaten down as well. So those are the ones I'm going to be looking at. All right. Okay, guys. I think I've caught up to all your questions here. Greatly appreciate you guys coming in here. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Bitcoin in the miners. Bitcoin's still only down, let's see here, 0.34%. So it's not down too bad. It's kind of bouncing off of that mark there. We'll see if it holds. Or if we do come down, like I said, we're coming down maybe to 61,000 roughly. That's our next support line. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting in the next week to see where things bounce off at, and do we get any lower. Like I said, the RSI is pretty low on the daily right now. We've been there before. We bounced off of this area roughly. We'll see if we get below maybe even the 30 mark here. If we do that, I think then it's definitely way oversold at that point. But we'll see what happens. Okay. We'll see if we get any updates from the miners. We'll see if we have Hut 8 finally provide us with some updates on their May production updates. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you again for coming in to watch this. Really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys learned something, enjoyed it, found it useful at the very least. And I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a great night.